This is what my SMG tier list looked like in 2022. A couple of things have changed. I have used the Typewriter a bit more since then. I've also used the Pepper Sprayer a bit more, totally rocking out, balancing out that damage. I don't know. I've embraced totally rocking out a bit more than I used to. I used to like using Blast from the Past for consistency. I used to like to rank weapons based on their own performance. However, I've embraced more totally rocking out builds that really make weapons viable when they otherwise wouldn't be, and we'll see how that shifts things around. And the Durge song has also catapulted itself to the absolute #1 position for a few quirky reasons. Funny enough, I still think the weapon itself is C tier, but the 6 perk is so freaking strong. We'll talk about it later. It'll probably be S tier, but we'll see. We'll see. And finally, we've gotten 2 new SMGs. We got the Primal SMG and the Shooting Star, so we'll be talking about that throughout here. Let's get into it. Let's do a 2023 update. So, S tier is something I take quite seriously. S tier SMGs do it all. They do really, really good damage. They can crowd clear as effectively as an SMG can. And as you probably saw from that last tier list, a lot of SMGs are S tiers because most SMGs are really good. So let's get a couple of easy ones out of the way. I'm going to put the Walmart Spectre in F tier just because it's completely obsolete. It might have the damage of a B or an A tier weapon, but with the Silent Spectre being an upgraded version in every way, I see no reason that this should ever be used by anybody. And then I believe there's another SMG down here that should be in F tier, but we'll just get to that later, I guess, because I'm not immediately spotting it and it's not that important. So Bobcat is first and foremost. It's an S tier SMG. It is really good fire rate, really good perks. You can have double crit damage, crit rating, or you can have crit rating, crit damage, and reload. It has really good perk options, fire rate, damage. It's got the whole package. It's a very slow reloading weapon, but the mag size is 50. So believe it or not, if you slowly reload with a mag size that's 75% bigger, it's actually the exact same long-term damage output as a reload perk. I like reloading quickly and getting back into the fight. That's a different topic altogether. People are buying stuff on Twitch. Link to that down below if you guys
has purchased 1 chest.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to mute my alerts on stream, but they keep getting through somehow, and I'm just gonna roll with it. So, Durge song. I guess we're talking about it early. This thing, again, the weapon itself does not hit that hard. It's like a B tier weapon, C tier maybe. I stand by its rankings last year. However, if you guys have not seen my black metal boom builds, it is very, very strong. You can activate it with the right loadout to do millions of damage, and it is ludicrously strong. It can sit down power level 250 smashers with ease. It is far and away one of the best weapons in the entire game. If you take advantage of that 6 perk boom, very, very nice. Very, very good damage. Typewriter, I think was like a B or a C tier last time I looked at it. But again, I've braced totally rocking out. I've used this weapon a bit more. It's nothing exceptional, but it's pretty darn good. I'll put it in like low A tier. I think it's actually pretty solid. And I know that totally rocking out can make any weapon good, but that's kind of my point. Like when you put a weapon in C tier, that tells a noob that you should never touch it. But like, honestly, Typewriter did okay. It performed really well and I had a great time with it. And I had a whole video on that and it was awesome. That was like the 3 different ways to use a Typewriter video. Quick Shot, Founders Quick Shot and the Thrasher are actually kind of the same. So I've said it many times in many videos that the Thrasher is the best SMG in the game because it is. Technically speaking, the Quick Shot out damages it. However, I'm going to be saying this a lot in this video. The Thrasher has Affliction. Affliction is stupid good because it does really high damage. It used to do very low damage way back in the day, but they buffed it years ago at this point where it does pretty okay damage. It's like it's like hitting an enemy with another bullet once per second, and that's enough to finish off a lot of enemies. So with an SMG, you can just spray across a crowd and stop shooting, and most of them will be dead after a little bit of time. We're assuming there's no nurse or healing death burst. In normal scenarios, they'll all be dead. So Affliction does great single target damage. It functionally gives you great crowd clearing damage, and that extra damage output is very, very useful for attacking multiple enemies at once. The Quick Shot burns through ammo. It's got the same 25 mag size as the Thrasher. It's got that special 6 perk, which I can actually show in game here. I kept the game open for a reason. Founders Quick Shot should be in the F section around here. Yeah, there we go. So hitting an enemy grants fire rate and damage, or no, reload and damage, stacking up to 25 times. So if you are laying into a single target or a bunch of enemies, I guess, you can reload so fast that you can maintain that bonus damage. And it is really, really good. You can see that I was trying it with triple crit damage here, but it didn't last. Triple crit damage is really tough. I am honestly in favor of the Thrasher, especially because the Thrasher is accessible. The Thrasher could be in regular missions, which it is very often. It can be in your llamas. You can get this from a mission mission reward, like a legendary schematic from the Storm King or whatever, the Thrasher, in my opinion, is the better weapon overall. But the quick shot does have the highest DPS of any SMG in the game. Again, we're sort of excluding the Durge song there because its 6th perk is weird. It's literally calculated as not the weapon doing damage, it's the 6th perk being overpowered. It's a weird situation, but it's fun. The Hemlock. The Hemlock, I think I've put this in S tier every single season. However, Affliction is just busted strong, and when you are comparing the Hemlock to all of the other SMGs and their capabilities, I think it's high A tier. Its single target damage is great, its perks are awesome, its damage is solid, its 6th perk, the key one, is like the 5 hits in a row causes an explosion. Most enemies aren't surviving 5 hits, and that 5 hits, if you average out the 70%, is only like a 14% damage bonus. It's really not that much. It helps. It's like a high A tier. I really don't think it's proper S tier anymore, but it's still a good SMG. Now the lightning pistol. I might be changing my mind on this. I don't like to look back at the old tier list. I'm going to take this from a new, fresh perspective. This weapon has a lot going for it. It is, if you didn't know this, one of the highest DPS SMGs in the game. I think it's right below the Monsoon and the Blastotron Mini. But okay, let's continue with the positives. And then it can also have chain lightning, which is really, really good for multiple targets. That's super solid. And then the negatives. It is locked to nature, which is not the biggest deal. In my opinion, water seasons are fine. In fact, if you go to the spreadsheet, this might be a flashbang situation. So if you're in a dark room, get ready. Close your eyes. There you go. So the yearly content timeline shows us that for 20% of the year in the wintertime, we have a water season. So I don't like ruling weapons out just because they're single element, but it shoots energy cells. At 13.5 cells per second, this is by far the most expensive SMG on this list. So it is S tier damage that you are absolutely paying for. So I'm going to put this in low A tier just as a rounded opinion. If you're rich and don't care, use it. I promise you, you're going to love it. It's an amazingly strong weapon, but it's so expensive that I have to put it in A tier just for a well-balanced perspective. Same thing with the Monsoon here. This is the fastest firing SMG in the entire game. Yes, I know double fire rate Bobcat exists. The Monsoon is still faster. It's like 28 cells per second. No, not cells, small ammo. But you can also put a mag size perk on this and like assault ammo recovery. So the mag size is functionally in the hundreds. It's beautiful. S tier DPS. I believe it's the highest DPS SMG in the game. However, because it fires like a minigun, it needs to spin up for that damage, and its accuracy isn't that great. So it's a super insanely strong weapon that has a really slow spin up that makes it kind of not viable to use unless you really want to have fun. So I'll put it in low A tier because it's super subjective. I think when you're committing to a pocket minigun build, it's fine. You know, just take the spin up and enjoy the damage while you're at it. But it's not instantly ready like all these other SMGs are. So I'm going to be putting it in low A tier, but it's still an amazing weapon overall. The Rat-a-tat is awesome. The Rat-a-tat is just a Swiss Army knife of an SMG. It can have each attack here. Actually, let's just show it here. So I think it can have each attack like here, just sort by subtype just to get us all the SMGs into one place. There we go. Let's just read these out together. Here we go. Each shot fired gives you extra damage, crit rating, and affliction. So it can be whatever you want. Do you want to hit super hard? Do you want to afflict a bunch of enemies all at once? Do you want to up your crit rating at the same time? This can have, as you can see, 3 crit damage perks. So you can run triple crit damage on this, plus Beetlejuice in the lead, and totally rocking out, and it's like 680% crit damage or something. It's ludicrous. Insanely versatile weapon. It can be any element. It's got all the options and the damage to back it up. It is a fantastic SMG. This is Archer's favorite. I'm calling him out because he put together a lot of these tier lists for me. I didn't even ask him to do it. I promise you. He helps me out a lot, and he's got a very informed opinion as well. I don't value it as high as he does. The damage is fun, and it's there, but there are other weapons that don't need so much setup. I don't know. This is a weapon that if I took a second more serious look at, could maybe shift in the tier list. So maybe a 2024 update, or if you guys see me covering these weapons in the future, stay tuned, subscribe for more. But I'm going to keep this in like mid S tier for now, maybe below the Thrasher, above the Bobcat. This is largely subjective. It's an amazing SMG regardless. Anything in the S tier or even A tier is worth using. If you're a new player taking advice here, just understand that. This is a fun one. So the Riptide, I know we have 3 weapons with the same stats. The Riptide is a scavenger Rat-a-tat. I'm sorry. It's a scavenger Thrasher. It has the exact same stats in every way, except that it's cheaper. And for whatever reason, no other scavenger weapon in the entire game does this. For whatever reason, it has a 30 base damage instead of 31. It's a clone of the Thrasher that's more cost effective while being technically less damage, which drives me crazy. So if you're a new player concerned about expense, it's probably the best SMG in the game. I think that little bit of damage is just, it kills my OCD not to use it. So like, it's really good. It's everything that the Thrasher is, but it's just technically less damage, and that drives me crazy, but I'm going to put it right below it for now. Now, moving on to a classic, the Silent Spectre. This has been my favorite SMG for years. I love the look, I love the feel, I love the sound of this silenced weapon. I love that base 20% chance to crit. With one crit rating perk, you're up to a 48% chance to crit. It has all the amazing perks that I've praised before. It doesn't have triple crit damage, but look at how you can run this thing. You can run a crit build with almost critting every other shot, affliction and damage to afflicted, which is a great combo. This damage to afflicted is kind of another crit damage perk. You do typically want a crit damage perk instead, but this is great too. It can be any element. I love it. I love this weapon so much. It is not the top tier damage. I understand that. But it's still pretty dang good. So I'll put it right here next to the Bobcat. They've been neck and neck for years. I know that this looks like it's low S tier, but these are all so close that it's, this might look, going from 10 to 1, but this is really more like going from 100 to 95. Like, it's not that far apart from the top of the S tier. Durge song excluded. It's its own story, as we know. But yeah, very, very, very good SMG. All the options you want. Super fun weapon. Pepper Sprayer. This weapon, I've praised it many times before. It has a super fast 1.5 reload. By the way, with a reload perk on the Silent Spectre, you're getting down to a 2-second reload, which is great. This thing has a 1.5 before a reload perk. It's got a 34 mag size, which is higher than the average 30. It's got a decent fire rate, 10.8 is standard, I believe, I think is what it has. Let's double check that since we got the game open. Yeah, 9.9. It's a little less than usual, but that's okay. It's super accurate. It's got pretty good range. 4,096 is more than most. You can see Silent Spectre has 3584, Thrasher has the same one. It has long range, accuracy, everything. It has the perks that you want. This weapon is perfect in every way but damage. Yeah, it's just really low damage compared to every other SMG. Now, two things can help with that. One, you can supercharge it. Granted, that doesn't really count as a bonus because you can supercharge anything, but you can supercharge it to make up for some of that extra damage. And if you run Totally Rockin' Out, you will crit plenty to make this weapon super viable. So it is like low A tier just because of that damage being not enough to be viable in the 160s, but it's low S tier with a Totally Rockin' Out team perk. And because with enough time, we all should have access to that team perk. If you run it right, I'll bump this up to low S tier. I think this weapon has been kind of cast aside by the community, but I think it could come back. This is another weapon that should be featured on my channel with a video, because I think this weapon with, a crit damage lead and Totally Rockin' Out, getting all the bonuses that every weapon loves, I think S tier is where it should belong. The same can't be said for this one, though. The Trinity. I don't remember where I put it last time. Low A tier. It's got the damage, but it's low accuracy. It's burst. It's kind of like everything the Pepper Sprayer is, but like a little worse. I don't know. I've never loved it. This is just my opinion. Low A tier because it's not bad, but it's not great. Videotech Blazer is an easy D tier. It's so many energy cells and such low accuracy with such low damage that I just can't suggest this to anybody. If you are broke and you need a quest done in Ventures, go for it. It is an SMG. It will do damage, but it's bad. It's bad. Viper has S tier DPS, but it's accomplishing it through fire rate, and it's super inaccurate. It's good damage. It will kill the enemies. You'll be reloading all the time, and it will be burning through your small ammo, and your durability will vanish alongside it. But it does kill the things. I'll put it in low A tier. I don't need to explain much more than that. It's a starter SMG. Is exactly what it is. It will absolutely do the job. I completed some quests on Ventures with it today, but you don't want to use it much longer than you have to. Blastron Mini is the highest DPS SMG in the game, I believe. Might be right behind the Monsoon. However, because it's locked to energy, it is functionally doing 75% of its total damage to energy enemies, which is a big deal. It's also got super low fire rate, so there are quite a few things holding it back. You can see I've supercharged mine. By verdict of me supercharging it, you should say that where I'm about to rank it I promise you, it's a good weapon. If I supercharged it, oh, that's not universally true. I've supercharged electroshock rifle, but it's a good weapon. It's just like mid A tier. I'll put it maybe above the monsoon because it's readily available. Even though it's energy, it's got the expanding ring of damage and it's got the 7 projectiles on crit with the sci-fi 6 perks. It's pretty strong. It's just it's expensive to use and it's energy, so it's tricky to recommend, but it's very, very strong. Now, our 2 new SMGs. So the Primal SMG is a low accuracy, high damage. It used to be nature only, but actually I'm glad I waited to record this because they can be any element now, which is super nice. It can't be energy, but it could be all the elements that matter, and that's really good. So it's no longer limited by that, but it's just not that amazing damage. I'll put it in B tier because the damage drop off. Okay, let me say this. Its damage is amazing up close, but your accuracy is abysmal and its damage drop off is noticeable. It just has to be in B tier. All of these weapons can do similar damage to the Primal SMG without much of the drawbacks. The DPS on this weapon is quite good. It's just it struggles. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put it in B tier, but it's not worth throwing away. I recommend trying it out if you ever get a copy. Shooting Star has like A tier damage, kind of, but you are scorching through energy cells again. Do I have a copy of this leveled up? Let me see this real quick here. It is 13.5 energy cells per second again, which is as expensive as that lightning pistol, and it overheats super fast. It has bugged 6 perks. If you have 2 of these, you can swap back and forth between them. You kind of have to dual wield them, but it's really hard to use. So it can be A tier performance if you're using 2 of them and managing the heat capacity correctly. It can do really well with crack shot in the lead because it never technically has to reload. You can work for A tier damage, high A tier damage, but it's practically a C tier weapon due to all the other reasons mentioned. So there you go. A bit more wordy than last time, but hey, I've got more experience. I'm older, I'm wiser. I've tried these weapons out, and I'm excited to try a few of these in the future. So yeah, stay tuned on the channel for more. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what you thought. I know I put a lot in the A and S tier, but as I said earlier, a lot of the SMGs are really strong. So, I mean, I don't want any noobs to get the wrong idea. Plenty of these are super good, and you should definitely give them a try. I'll see you guys in the next one, and thanks for watching.